All right.
So, okay, it's going live now. So, wait a minute. Mhm. So we so all right. Yes. Welcome to Clock It with AD Brian. As you know, I am your host, AD Brian. Today is going to be an exciting day. As I always say, we have a good show, and I'm excited to have special guests on here today. But you know what we have to do. Before we pay the bills, I will tell you to follow us on all our social media outlets, and they are rolling at the bottom of the screen. And when you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. Hit subscribe. I'll tell you, you won't be disappointed. I'm going to leave that up for a few at the bottom so you can watch, scroll, and all the social medias that you have access to. But we have sponsors. Got a couple new ones this week. Couple new ones. First one is Humble Bully. You know their motto: I ain't no bully, but don't push me. Humble Bully. Check them out. And then Unseen Faith by Tyler Renee. Her motto is walk by faith and not by sight. Tyler Renee, check her out. Fellowship of Faith Church. They have a new podcast called Make Him Known Podcast. Check their podcast out. Make Him Known. Let's Eat, where they're intentional togetherness, intentional communication, and intentional love. If you want to eat, let's eat. Inspired by TA. He says we don't need it to be easy. We just need it to be possible. Check out Inspired by TA because he inspires a lot. Council Consulting Group, striving to position HBCUs for success in fostering academic excellence, driving innovation, and empowering students to thrive in a competitive global landscape. Council Consulting Group, CCG, check them out. And then Scruptuals. Their motto is, if you're happy, then we're happy. For all of your apparel needs, call 256-337-7085. Check them out. All right. So, I have to give I have to put my disclaimer in. This podcast is an iJack production. The opinions of this podcast are the sole opinions of this Just a Game Sports Consultant. So now that we're done with that, it's time. It's time for our special guest. So, today's conversation is not just a discussion. It's a blueprint. I'm honored to welcome a leader whose impact spans institutions, generations, and the very culture of HBCU athletics. Dr. Gadson joins us to explore strategy, equity, and transformation in sports leadership. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Gadson. What's up, Dr. G? How are you? Doc, can you hear me?
Hello, hello. I am glad to be here. Doing great.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah. Yeah. It was going in and
Okay.
out. It was going in and out, but we good.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for welcoming me back into the SWAC. And first, I want to say congratulations to you on that new promotion that you have. So it's always great to see you receive those accolades.
Clock it, clock
All
it.
right,
I
we're gonna
appreciate
clock
that,
it. We're gonna
Doc.
clock it.
So Doc, you will see the rules of this game, this engagement. You will see a lot of clock it, because when I hear something that I like, clock it, clock it. But I got to tell you the rules of this game. So I have a
Okay.
15-minute clock. We have 15 minutes. Now I'm going to start the clock. As soon as the clock is over, game is over. Game is over. But
That's okay. I'm gonna win anyway.
yes, you're going to win. We know you're going to win. You've been winning all your life. So I'm glad to have you. So, Doc, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, I'm going to start this clock and then we're going to get into it. And you know what, Doc, every week. You know why? I turned it off.
Hey.
How about that? There we go.
Listen,
there we go,
it's
Doc.
already ready. Yeah, I'm ready.
So,
I'm ready.
Technical difficulties. But
That's okay.
all right, Doc, you know, when we talk about transformational leadership, and you know, you said something just a few minutes ago. You said this is a return back to the SWAC.
Yes.
Tell us about the SWAC and how long you've been associated with the SWAC.
So I won't date myself, but I will say many, many moons ago, I started actually as a student athlete at Southern University in track and field. But then, you know, Alcorn State University gave me my first coaching job. So I was head men's and women's track and field coach at Alcorn State University for years. And so we were very successful. And then I left and went to our sister conference. And so this is a return, not just back to the SWAC, but back home. So I'm really blessed and privileged to meet new friends, but see all my old ones as well.
Yeah, you know, it was exciting for me. I know that when you were at the school in the MEAC, you and I were a part of a leadership group.
Yes,
a national
yes,
leadership group.
yes.
And then to see you come over and work with a great friend of mine, Mr. Dwayne Robinson,
Yes.
and then for you to get the mantle as the head at Mississippi Valley State, just it really made me happy. But how has your dissertation of gender-specific leadership influenced your approach?
Well, I think it mends in so well because the NCAA, as most people know, have a role that's called the senior woman administrator. And a lot of times people, you know, they misunderstand that role and they think that role is just the female in the department that handles kind of everything women's sport related, or they're most of the time just kind of in the support services. And that's not really what that role is. That role was intended to ensure that women and the senior woman had not just a seat at the table of leadership, but actually had a voice. And so that role was intended to ensure that women would gain all of those additional experiences that they would need as they try to move up in their careers. So, you know, things that they will know they need in terms of revenue generation, fundraising, contracts, and things of that nature. So my dissertation looked to explore that and to explore just what the women that had sat in that seat had gone through as they advanced. And what we saw that a lot of times there were those that actually made it to the big chair, and there was others that were content with really sitting in that support role, but still being great leaders.
Right. So when you were coach, like, did you actually see yourself as an AD? or did you
No,
just always see yourself as a coach?
not at all. And I really didn't even, envision, I did not aspire to be a coach. I think sometimes, God has a path and that's already
Right.
kind of set for us and destined. And so for me, I've just been blessed that I've also had some great mentors. And one of the things that I missed, though, that I didn't have early in my career was a lot of female mentors and a lot of
Right.
women of color.
Right.
So, I had some great mentors, but I didn't necessarily see myself, and I didn't see myself in leadership or see examples of that. So I wanted to make sure, and when you talk about transformational leadership, that's really what it is. I want to make
Right.
sure that our women, our young females, and really all of our athletes, but particularly our females, as they aspire for leadership, that they
Mhm.
see true examples of it and that they see us doing it and leading well and being fearless and not being timid and really doing all of those wonderful things that we know you males can do.
Right. So, do you find it more challenging at to be an AD, or do you find it more challenging as a coach for females?
Well, I think the challenges are there at all levels, but
Hmm.
when you sit in the AD chair, as you know, Paul, um, you take it all on, and at the end
Right.
of the day, you are responsible for everything that happens under your leadership. So
That's right.
it's one thing to lead and lead individually, but it's another thing to lead the team and make sure that they are understanding your vision, understanding your leadership style, understanding
Mhm.
what the goals are for the department, and how critical it is that they are not just representing themselves, but they are
Mhm.
representing the university, which becomes the enterprise.
You're right. So, one of our colleagues and just said that's one of the reasons I wrote my dissertation on mentorship at HBCU. So, you know what?
Yes,
Janice.
I do, and great
Mhm.
leader, and I'll say this: what we see sometimes is, and I've been doing this thing for about a little 30 years, but you don't always have to sit in the seat to lead. You don't
Right.
always have to be in charge to lead. And definitely Janice is one that I've watched over her career. And we have so many others that, whether they actually sit in the AD seat or not, they're doing some wonderful things. They're creating great opportunities and initiatives, and not just for the student athletes, but for the staff that they oversee as well. And they are becoming mentors as they are still mentees, but the cycle continues. And that's what we want to see. And again, particularly for our women of color. And we want to ensure that they
That's right.
see themselves and that they see that this opportunity is real and that they can lead.
You know, I I think you may have known that I have a daughter who has been at the collegiate level as a assistant basketball coach, and just recently she took over as the head.
Hmm.
And one of the things she talked about was, Dad, I'm a black female that
Yes.
is leading, and that
Yes.
made me feel so good. And so um, one of the things I am a proponent of is recognizing and allowing our black leaders, women, to do what they need to do. I don't know if you saw recently, we just um, but we have the first African American female to call do the play by play for football. So
Yes.
those are type of things that I think we need to continue to do.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
um,
And we have to be fearless too, because a lot of times, as women, it's stacked against us. And I'm just going to say, when you think about sports, sport is global, but there are still those challenges and the masculinity that still exists. But it's up
mhm,
to us to show that we can be our authentic selves.
yes.
So I don't have to lead like a man to lead well. And those are things that we're learning how to do every day.
You know what? That leads into my next question. As a pioneer woman in athletics, how are you mentoring the next generation of black women leaders? And you just said something that I don't think people truly grasp, and that is you don't have to do it like a man.
Yes.
You can create your own and be a pioneer. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, let me tell you, one of the things that we are doing new and different here at Mississippi Valley State. We're really talking about blazing our own path. And yes, as a member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, we want to be good partners, and we want to make sure that, we're holding up the brand of the conference, but we want to do it our way. And we're recognizing that sometimes, the blueprint is set, but we have to recognize that, there are financial constraints and sometimes geographical and just other challenges that we have to learn how to be our authentic selves and just exude excellence. So for me, as a mentor, it's holding that standard that excellence becomes an attitude, and that we teach our young women and our women of color that they can find their authentic selves. I remember a time when, I felt like I had to dress a certain way. And if you saw one of my pictures, I had braids, and there was, if you can remember, there was a time that, mentors would have told you, well, no, you don't, you want to wear your hair a certain way, and you want to, wear a business suit and gray. And now, you look at us, we can truly be our authentic selves, and we can express ourselves, and it doesn't take any knock away from our leadership and our ability to lead as women.
You're right. So this was another quote. Dr. Brandon Reeves said he wrote his dissertation on the underrepresentation of African American females, and that is a great topic. And I'm sure that there are other topics that you can study from that. But there was a question from Mr. Carter, Morel Carter, Mo Carter is what we call him. He said, can either of you share your thoughts on the creation of SWAC TV and what it means for all sports? I'm going to let you take that because you're the guest. And,
well, I'll start and I'll say it is tremendous. And you think about what Commissioner Dr. McClellan is doing, and he and his staff, and just to have that foresight and that vision to once again ensure that the SWAC at all times is doing some premier things. It is a platform that can ensure that even schools like myself that may not have gotten, one of the ESPN spots or HBCU Go spots, but that our athletes can be celebrated. And with technology now, there are so many ways to connect. So I'm just glad, and I'll let you speak to the technical pieces, but really more so just that avenue. When we think about HBCUs, there's always been two things, right? Access and opportunity. All of our institutions were founded on that. And when you think about access and opportunity, this SWAC TV now gives us that. It extends and expands the brand. So now even a school like myself, Mississippi Valley State, can encourage our fans to watch and to make sure. But that's going to be the piece too. When you talk about these innovative things, we have to participate, and our community has to engage. It has to engage. And so for this to be successful, we're going to have people are going to have to log in, and they have to support it, and they have to support it through the fledgling stages. So, I know a lot of times the stakes are high, but this is something that I think is going to be tremendous for the conference and for those sports. When we think about our women's sports that may not get all of the high profile coverage, we now have a platform in which every sport can get something. So I'll turn it back over to you to really kind of share a little bit more.
No, you hit everything on the head. And one of the things I want to say is on the SWAC TV, you have to download or upload, whichever it is, the network, and watch it. There's going to be so much content that you're never going to say, well, this is a lull in this year, because usually the summer months, there's not a lot of sports. But now you're going to see all of our sports on SWAC TV. It's something that we need. And not only that, but it's going to be financial for the institutions involved in the SWAC. So,
but we have to support it as a community. We have to support it as a community. And that's a non-negotiable.
It is.
Whether you enjoy it or not, click in.
Click in and clock that. Hey, I tell you, Doc, I have what still needs to change institutionally to create truly equitable leadership pipeline. So you're in that chair. How do we create that equitable pipeline so that the other minority women can get the same opportunity that you
I'm
have?
glad you asked. We got to pay it forward. We got to pay it forward. When I look at those that are coming in, we have some outstanding leaders, and not just student athletes. When you think about students that are on our campuses that may
Mhm.
not have been athletes, but they look to come into this field, we have to be accessible, and we have to know that every day we're on. When we're walking the campus, and
Mhm.
we're going to the dining hall, that we're on, and that provides us an opportunity to just engage one. And that's all
Yep.
we have to do is reach one and pay it forward. Take that
Mhm.
extra time and really be engaged, because you'd be surprised at the impact that you can make on them later.
You know what, Doc? People don't understand exactly what you said. And I keep saying that, how important it is to pour into others.
Yes,
And no matter what the levels they are, you have to pour. And we're all doing the same thing.
yes.
We're actually doing the same thing. It's just people have different budgets. And that is it. But we're doing the same thing. So in that, what are you going to tell an aspiring associate AD, or let's go this. What are you going to tell someone who's an aspiring assistant AD to get to the associate AD, to get to the deputy AD, to get to the chair? What steps are you going to tell them to
I'm
take?
glad you said that. Don't think about the steps. Don't think about the
Mhm.
titles. Don't get tied into that. And I know sometimes it's cliche, but do great work. You got to wake up every day and do great work. You gotta sometimes have short-term memory, to where
Mhm.
God gives us grace every day to start it all over again, right? So you got to say, whatever you didn't accomplish, or whatever those failures were yesterday, you got to take it as a clean slate, and not just check the box to check the box. You have to really be authentic. You have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional about the work,
That's
because
right.
we know the work is the work. And I don't care how much resources that you have or don't have, you really have to be passionate about what it is. And I would say, be a student of your craft. You have to
Yep.
know what you're talking about. You have to stay engaged. You have to stay on top of the latest trends. So make sure that you are reading, that you are, absorbing knowledge, and that you're asking questions. Be inquisitive, and it's
Yeah.
okay to not know. The,
Yeah.
the, the great ones recognize and are okay to admit that they don't know something, but they know how to
I like
ask
that.
and go find. So I would just say, don't worry about the titles and all of that come. You'd be surprised at who's watching you, right?
You're right.
And they're
You
watching you when you don't think they're watching you. So don't start the day with thinking about, I need to get to the associate, or that person got, no, just do the work. And if you do great work, trust me, it will pay off.
you know what, Doc, the horn went off, but we're in overtime. And you know what?
Yeah, I made it
CCG.
to overtime.
Yeah, CCG said that they're going to sponsor that. So I do.
Awesome.
There is another question: have the transfer portal help or hinder women's sports in the SWAC?
Oh, you want me to answer that? You
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
answer that? I think,
Oh,
listen, here.
well, why don't you just take that from a have the transfer portal helped or hindered women's sports as a whole?
and and
Not
and and I have a different take on it. I'm gonna say
okay.
no, because um sometimes it's called the evolution of something.
Mm.
And you look
Yes.
at where we are, this transfer portal is really just the evolution of collegiate sport.
Right.
And those that will survive are going to be those that are going to be able to pivot and adapt. And so when we think about, in leadership, and especially for me, I always talk about the win-win. So you just have to have a new approach. And for our coaches and our administrators, you can't be stagnant. You're going to just have to
Mhm.
have a new approach. Doesn't mean you may have to hustle a little more. Yeah, but we are where we are, and there's really no turning back. So the thing for us that I think we've always done as a people, and particularly women and women of color, we pivot and we adapt. And so those are the things that we're going to have to do. And in this evolution, we're going to have to pivot, adapt, and then succeed. So I'll leave it there and leave it up for your opinion.
I tell you what, Doc. I honestly, I'm gonna leave it there because you are such an inspiration, not only to the women who are aspiring to be in athletics, but I think you're inspiration to any person who's trying to be in leadership. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being a friend. I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really do want to thank you for this.
Hey, you can always have me back. I love to show this mean green, and you're going to see more of Mississippi Valley, but I enjoy your platform, and thank you for having this platform for women and others to really be able to share and to share back into our community.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we want to thank you for being on the show. I'm going to put you down on the in the waiting room, but I want you to hold on because I got something to tell you. However, next show is on Tuesday. This is who's going to be on our show, Mr. Anton Goff. We're having another one on Tuesday. So as you see that there's a trend, we're going to have the ADs of the SWAC so they can continue to talk about all the things that are going on at their institution. And we're excited about this one as well. I want to say this. Our, not next show, but maybe the following show, we're going to have our commissioner on.
Awesome.
Commissioner. Yes, he's going to come on the show, and we're excited about that. But you all know.
Well, he's going to need more than 15 minutes, so we're going to make sure you get a sponsor now because we would love to hear the overtime. I think it's great. I think there's some wonderful things. And Paul, thank you again. As you have been in the Trailblazer, I know, you can kind of blush a little bit, but we know, too, you have done some wonderful things. And just having the insight to have something like this is one of the wonderful things that you can do to pay it forward to the others. So
yes,
thank
ma'am.
you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you. I tell y'all, remember, it's just a game. So be humble, stay humble, but most importantly, be your best. God bless. Peace.